Hi guys, this is Breaker, and I'm back with another replay that I took from a confidential source. I can't disclose it because they weren't allowed to give away the replays, but ultimately now I have the replays from CPL Shenyang, and I'm going to be casting a game between iG.Jim playing up against iG.XY. And it looks like the map that we're going to be on to start off with is going to be Belshir Vestige LE. Now, what I can tell you about iG.Jim is he definitely loves his Phoenix Colossi play versus Terrans. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and give him his proper introduction. Lower right-hand corner is, of course, iG.Jim, Invictus Gaming. And I want to say, presently, hands down, he is the strongest Chinese-speaking player on the planet. He's beaten Sen, too. And I think it's only recently that we actually see a lot of the Chinese players getting the publicity that they so well deserved. And in the upper left-hand corner, spawning is our purple Terran. I give you all iG.XY. iG.XY is also a very strong WCSNA contender. He made it pretty far in the Challenger League, but he made it just a little bit short of Premier League. He might have actually been in Premier for a little while, but in the end, he just never actually made it to the live event in California. Now, it looks like we have XY going to go ahead and throw down a supply depot here, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I also know that in this matchup, iG.XY typically likes to go command center first, and then maybe he'll follow it up with a double barracks. I've seen him do this before versus Zerg, but I mean, versus Protoss, I'm not sure if it's such a safe idea, but considering with a little bit of micro, you can actually hold any kind of offensive from Zealots in the early stage in the game with just Marines, I think, you know, it would be a safe idea, but that's a completely different idea or a completely different concept altogether, because we see iG.XY going to go ahead and throw down his first barracks here, and it seems to have, in my eyes, the tempo of a Reaper opener. Now, basically, I took this replay at the advice of Artosis. If you guys feel like digging around a little bit more in my YouTube channel, you guys can see that he basically advised me to just basically cast replays of Chinese players and nothing but Chinese players. Don't cast a European or anything else like that. And I think, to be quite honest with you guys, I wouldn't mind casting a replay between him and Root Todd. Root Todd did kind of complain on Twitter that, you know, Jim was able to hear the Chinese casters and such at the actual event. And I mean, unfortunately, this is the way a lot of events work out in mainland China. And I guess it works both ways, I guess you could say. It could potentially cut both ways, but I mean, iG.XY even had the same problem. I remember a friend of mine by the name of Huang Jinpeng, aka HGP Rush, went to Shanghai to compete in the UES-GL, which is actually the China and Taiwan equivalent of the Collegiate Starcraft League. And in the end, when they did their little show match between the best Chinese university and the best Taiwanese university, it just came down to basically what is it? It came down to HTP just, you know, he could hear the Chinese casters all the same that his opponents could hear the Chinese casters. Now Jim went with a reactor on that, or it's not Jim, but iG.XY actually went for a reactor on his barracks, and it's kind of interesting to note that he got a Reaper and a Marine getting cranked out at the same time. That's something you don't really see all that often. And I'm sure many of you guys are wondering, just what the hell does XY stand for? Well, it's actually just an abbreviation for his name. That would be Xiangyao. I'm trying to pronounce the tones as accurately as I can. It's supposed to be second tone and then fourth tone, I believe. But it looks like Xiangyao is going to have a bit of trouble defending this initial offensive, as all he has is a Reaper and a few Marines. But it looks like, you know, with very little scouting at that, he was actually able to defend quite well. He's going to be able to defend quite well. He does have a bunker. He does have 4 Marines in it. He's not taking any chances versus Jim, really. But behind this, he's not committing to early game aggression with what we see from his barracks cranking out right now. He's actually going for an Expo. He's already scouted that with his SCV, the Nexus at the natural, and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to have to do something about that. But, you know, speaking of being prepared ahead of time, Jim, he's like not making any mistakes here. He's actually using his Stalker back at home. He just took down the Reaper. But behind this, the Reaper was able to scout the Twilight Council. And whoa, Jim's playing some serious mind games here. He actually canceled the Twilight Council and threw down the Robo Facility. Interesting choice. I'm wondering what he could be doing with that. 2 base AoE. So right now I think what we have Jim setting the stage for is his opponent, making his opponent think, okay, he's going to be going with maybe DTs, maybe Archons, that kind of thing. So I'm going to have to do something to haul out the Ghosts or something of that nature. Typically at this stage in the game, you need 2 base AoE. If not, you're going for some kind of a Blink Stalker harass, possibly all in. And maybe that was actually Jim's initial idea, but at any rate, he's Jim. He was rank 1 on the Korean ladder in Grandmasters League, and I don't question what he's doing right now at all. He's got a plan behind all this. But at the same time, if he was going to go with a Robo Opener, it has been somewhat delayed, if that was his actual intentions the entire game. And XY, he's just throwing down a missile turret as natural. He doesn't have one in the main. I think he thinks that it's DTs, or it could be DTs, which is why he threw down the missile turret and he's got a bunker in a forward position. There's no way a DT is going to get past the missile turret with a bunker right next to it. And these Marines just kind of patrolling back and forth in case there might be some kind of Blink Stalker aggression, because of course XY is still under the mindset that Jim has that Twilight Council. If we just check on his vision right now, in fact, it's been canceled, and there is now a Robo Facility. Multiple pylons going down. Jim is actually... I'm not entirely sure why he's got so many pylons up. He's going to have like 92 supply when he doesn't really need it all that much. That basically would indicate that he's going to try and tack on... Yes, there it is. Infrastructure. Production. To try and... You know, he's getting his cap just a little bit higher. But by now I'm pretty sure XY is thinking, okay, DTs haven't hit. Where are they? So are we going to see Jim basically force a scan out of his opponent to see what's really up, or, you know, where could it go from there? We do, of course, have the Robotics Bay cranking out that extended thermal lance, and we are instead going to see Colossi come into the mix. There's 3 gateways, about 70% done, but Jim not quite moving out just yet. No, there's something else he's trying to throw into the mix, and I'm just a little bit oblivious as to what it could be. He does have a single forge. I really like that. Is he going to get a delayed Twilight Council +2 and then go for it? Okay, no, he's not. No, he's not. I was thinking he could have gone for maybe Charge Lot Colossi, which actually works miracles versus Bio at this stage in the game. But honestly, to really seal the deal, I guess he would need to get some High Templar in the mix, because nothing hurts Bio worse than Storms combined with double thermal lances coming from Colossi. Concussive shells now going down at about the 10-minute mark into this game, and after we see the reactor being built right next to that bunker, we actually see a starport going down. XY moving out just a little bit. By the way, in case you guys were interested in how you spell that name, it's like this. But of course, there's nothing to mark the tones in his name or anything like that. So yeah. Alright, here we go. This is definitively Bio, in case you guys couldn't tell already. You know, custom shells, stem, everything else of that nature coming into play. The big problem that we have for XY right now is that he doesn't have any medevacs in the mix. And Jim knows that he's poking at his third. He's trying to find that angle of attack. And I think, you know, it would kind of be, I think, a little bit dangerous for XY to actually, no, more than just a little bit dangerous. It would be really dangerous for XY to try to commit to an attack here. He would actually have to cause damage here. Behind this, it looks like we have Jim going for Blink, very confident against his opponent. And XY for the time being is, I guess, just looking for holes, looking for places to attack. You know, he's kind of just got, he's basically looking at saying goodbye to all of his Marines that he sends at Jim in the near future, because he doesn't have the medevacs it takes to heal them and pick them up. He just stemmed and charged one forward to see what Jim has, and with that, he's just going to pull back because he sees, okay, 3 Colossi, I've got no Vikings. I'm in a tough spot. But what I like from Jim is he's actually thoroughly made a game this out. He's like, okay, well, I know what my opponent's going to do. He's going to think I'm going for lots of Colossi. The counter to lots of Colossi is lots of Vikings. If he has lots of Vikings, he has little medevacs. If he has little medevacs, he has very little to heal all of his Marines and Marauders here. Behind this, XY getting his third saturated. Timely manner. Okay, and it looks like we have a triple medevac drop going into the main. Blink not quite done, but I don't think... well, I think it could matter, simply given the fact that we don't have adequate positioning coming from these Stalkers just yet. Pylon goes down, unpowering some of those gateways, and it looks like we're going to have the Stalkers kind of block the charge lots, or excuse me, the Zealots for the time being. One medevac not fully unloaded just yet, but it looks like it will be now, and there goes the stim on all the units in the main. Actually killing a good deal of the Stalkers right now, and he's actually going to make a good deal of damage happen here. But it looks like we may eventually see, yes, XY forced to pick up and leave, as all he had was Marines left. Nothing tanky like Marauders there to really take a lot of damage to the team, if you will. Observer here in the middle of the map, able to see when XY is going to move across the map, and he's got lots of Marauders and Marines in the mix. Lots of Vikings too, and those 3 medevacs are the only medevacs in the entire composition to the best of my knowledge. So we have to see XY actually stim quite carefully. He has to make his engagements count. He has to make everything... For every 100 shots that he fires, he has to make 100 of them hit. Which, I mean, well, you don't really have that problem when you're playing Terran, unless you're, of course, throwing out EMPs and they miss. But, try to take a little proverb and translate it into English. Here we go, the huge engagement about to go down, and it looks like Jim is going to be forced to engage at his third. Comfortable positioning, to say the very least, but the Templar are very far behind. They've got to get into a better position to throw down their Storm. But Storm is now 30 seconds away from finishing, and he's not going to be able to have that anytime soon. Oh man, all the Colossi get wiped out. The Immortals are all that's left now, which are best for dealing with the Marauders on the ground. Maybe a mix of them and Colossi, but it's not going to matter for too much longer, as we see the Marauders stimming and A moving forward. All 8 of them able to take down as many of these Stalkers as they please. Blink, no blink, it doesn't matter. The Vikings are landing now to help XY put an end to Jim in this game, ladies and gentlemen. And now it looks like XY is going to be forced to move back just a teeny bit. He is getting the stronger end of that stick, but it looks like maybe we'll see Jim hold this, but there are reinforcements now coming across the map, and it looks like, yes, Jim thoroughly and adequately accounted for this. He's like, okay, my opponent doesn't have those medevacs. Look, they just play that much of an important role, and now we have XY just going, oh crap, I needed more medevacs. But at the time, you know, he couldn't help but make the Vikings. There were a few too many left over, but, you know, nobody's perfect. Oh, and it looks like these SCVs are stuck. Yes, a Congo line of them trying to go to the third, get stuck at the natural, misclick, and that is a bit of mining time. We're not going to see XY get back, but altogether he does have a bit of a lead. He does have, you know, 1,600 less resources lost than his opponent. And he's got a pretty good supply lead, but if it's one thing that could definitely bring Jim back in this game, it would be just spot-on engagements. After all, think about it, we don't have a Ghost Academy from XY just yet. We do have lots and lots of infrastructure coming in. It's almost as though he doesn't like ghosts. And we also have an upgrade lead coming from Jim. He's going to get his +3 armor and his +2 attack finished in the near future. Just basically so much faster than we will from... oh man, that factory. Just so much faster than we'll see the +2 armor and the +3 attack finish for XY. Now, he did send a probe at this fourth. He sees that it's there. What he could do is warp in a few Stalkers back here, put them on hold position, and they could just harass that mineral line as they please. XY having just the perfect number of everything right now as we go into this engagement. It looks like both players a bit reluctant to engage. There's a scan on top of this army. XY, for some reason, doesn't feel comfortable going down with this. Maybe it's because he doesn't have... I think it's because he scanned... Yeah. He scanned the High Templar, the Archons, and he's just not going to move forward without any ghosts in the mix. Speaking of, the Ghost Academy did just finish. And now we're waiting to see Mobius Reactor get researched. That would be the Ghost Energy, but I don't think we're going to see XY ready for this attack in the near future. Here we go. Jim actually going straight forward at the natural. He's going to be able to break through all of these supply depots, but for the time being, it looks like, I don't know, XY, he's going to be forced to engage here. He has to. And here we go. The Vikings taking down 1 Colossi, 2 Colossi. Plenty of Storms on these High Templar. Not putting them down just yet. I'm a little curious as to why. Maybe Jim's got a plan behind all this. Oh, he wants to storm the mineral line, I think. No, he's waiting until he absolutely 100% has to. But meanwhile, the Doom drop going down in the main of Jim. This is going to kill production and a lot of other things. It's going to kill a lot of workers. It's probably going to take down this one Nexus down here. And all the tech but meanwhile, it looks like back at home we see XY kind of holding off his main fairly well, actually landing some of the Vikings to help with this engagement, just taking down those armored piranhas one at a time, and Jim actually getting the bitter end of the engagement here as we see him eating a 30 supply deficit, coming back home to defend what he has. And so far, both players are going to break away. Jim, of course, eating pretty big losses here, and it looks like he's going to maybe suffer just a little bit more. He did lose a lot of gateways there. I mean, that was like 3, 4, 5 gateways at my count. And of course the Nexus here, I don't think it's going to get a cannon on it. We need to see the high Templar throw down a Storm, and jeez. I don't think we've seen Jim throw down a single valuable Storm or a single money Storm or any Storm like that, but there it is, the GG, as we see the 4th base fall. Jim knows he's in dire straits, and he couldn't hold on any longer. So I mean, just there it is, guys. Didn't quite see the Phoenix Colossi play, the standard Phoenix Colossi play that we can expect from Jim, but let's see how game number 2 turns out. So, if you guys like what you saw here today, just go ahead and click on the subscribe button. This is Breaker. I'll see you guys next time. Give me just a minute, and I'll be back with game number 2.